All right, this is pretty sweet. Back for our nice Halloween episode, Halloween celebration for the movie Halloween.
Much like the last movie, Halloween Kills was delayed a year. It feels like this podcast has been delayed a year. It's been so long since we've done one of these.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can rectify that.
This is a good reason to get back into it.
Oh, hell yeah, it is, man. Best time of the year.
So very exciting. I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna break your heart.
No, listen, this movie, and we're talking about Halloween Kills now. Obviously, we'll talk about other things dealing with the Halloween franchise in this episode. We're going to do our ranking of the films, all of them, and hopefully we'll get into a little bit about what we're looking for out of Halloween Ends and the future of the franchise. But this movie, if anything, is very, very divisive with the fan base. And you know what? I think that's a good thing. I do. Whether you like it or whether you're on the side that loves it or you're the side that hates it, it's building conversation. And I think that one, it's good for the franchise. And two, if you go down through history of trilogies, it's always that second movie that divides a fan base. You know, it's always the second one where you have a group over here that say, oh, it's awesome and it's the best one and it's this, and then you've got the other side that says that was terrible and they have to fix all of this in the third and final. So I'm not surprised that the split, there's a division amongst the Halloween fans on how they feel about this movie. I think Halloween 2018 had the beauty of nostalgia behind it. So I think everybody went into that just so excited to get a real Halloween film.
Well, people didn't want,
after all these years.
People didn't want all the gimmicks anymore, the stupid.
Wait, hold on. Watch this. It's magic. Look at that. Look at that. Thank you, honey. She can make a good cup of joe, that one. She's a keeper. And see the mug. See the mug, Halloween too?
Yes, very nice. I just, we can get right into it.
Let's do it. Let's go.
2018, dude, like it I really liked it.
I loved it.
I loved it. I didn't love it. I liked it. I thought that it was definitely better than everything I'm going to say. I'm going to take 3 out of the equation. Obviously.
Although 3 is in my ranking. When I said let's rank our rankings of all the Halloween films, I meant all of them. So 3 is in my ranking. If you left 3 out, you have now until we, announce our rankings to figure out where you're throwing them.
where we can get to that. But
right. So
I thought that the 2018 one, that film was better than anything after 2, again, excluding 3. And there were problems I had with it, like Dr. Sartain, that whole stupid. I was sitting here watching it with, my wife, and she just looked at me and was like, well, this is pointless. And I said, it is. It was like they just got bored and they didn't, we'll just put this in there. There's like a big hole that we have to fill. So we're just.
Well, I have an explanation for why I believe they did that.
Because they were on drugs.
Well, no, I listen. The thing I love about Halloween 2018 is that it rectified the worst decision ever made in this franchise, and that was in Halloween 2 when they decided to make Michael Myers and Laurie Strode brother and sister. That effectively ruined the franchise moving forward, and, my opinion, ruined the character of the Shape. When you make that decision and you say that, he's no longer the Shape. He's now Michael Myers. The Shape, okay, there's no motive, there's no rhyme, there's no reason. No one is safe. He is the boogeyman. But when you make Laurie Strode his sister, he's not the Shape anymore. He's not the boogeyman. He's Michael Myers, and Michael Myers has motive. He wants to kill his sisters. That ruined it, because every movie moving forward had to continue that. When there was no longer a sister to kill, well, now he's got to kill his niece. You know, and you had to stick with that silly storyline all the way through. Ruined the character, took all the mystique away from him. So 2018,
other than Rob Zombie taking all the mystique away from it.
Well, we'll get to that later, when we get to our rankings. But what 2018 did, what David Gordon Green and Danny McBride did, they did the smart thing. We're making a direct sequel to the first one. All of those other movies don't exist. They're no longer brother and sister. He is the Shape again. Well, if you do that, then you take away the Shape connection to Laurie Strode. So you got to get them hooked up some way. And short of the Shape just wandering onto her compound, not knowing where the hell he is, you got to get him there somehow. So the Sartain turn was a plot device to get the Shape to Laurie Strode's house.
Yeah, but you know what?
I understand. I didn't like Sartain's turn either, but at least it bridged that gap.
It's not even needed, because you could have just said he's the Shape. He's a killing machine. He's pure evil. And he also remembers that she's the one that got away.
Well, see, I liked it.
Sartain,
I liked it better.
I'm not. Sartain was like, I liked him, his character at first. I thought it was cool that he was like, the protege of Dr. Loomis, and I thought that was really cool.
It needed a doctor character. Sure,
yeah. I thought it was a good idea, and I thought he was pretty cool. But then when he just like turned into a I just want to know what it feels like or whatever, I thought, all right, this is really corny. And
I don't even mind the idea that if it would have come out that Dr. Sartain, was the one who manipulated the bus crash, I would have been okay with that. His excuse being Dr. Loomis was the only one to see him in the wild. If I'm going to understand him, if I'm going to help him, I need to see that too. I need to see what Loomis saw. So even that I would have been on board with. But absolutely, when he attacks Hawkins and then puts the mask on, I was, oh, come on. They made up for it. I call that a little mini second act of the movie. They made up for it in the third act. And by the end of the movie, I had forgiven them. I'm like, that was so good that I'll forgive you that trespass. But I'm with you that a trespass it was, and not needed. And it's funny, a story came out just this last week that there was a producer on Halloween 2018 who fought tooth and nail to get rid of that. Hated it. Just fought tooth and nail day after day to get rid of that storyline. And at the end of the day, obviously, he was outvoted because it's in there. But it's funny that even on the set, people involved in the film, there was, a tug of war about that plot twist, that plot device, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's a lazy plot device, and I don't know. I didn't like it, but we get to the new film. First, I think you probably saw my comment in Gnar group, or our Gauntlet little horror movie thing Facebook that we do. Sitting through 25 minutes of the most cancerous trailers, and it just kind of like solidified why I don't go to the movies anymore. Every one of those movies I thought was just trash.
I'll be honest with you, when I was so excited, you may not know this, but I am a Halloween super fan. So I was so excited to just be in the theater waiting to see Halloween Kills that I cannot tell you one movie we saw a trailer for. Because I was so just tunnel vision on waiting for Halloween Kills to start. I couldn't tell you one movie they ran a trailer for.
Well, and look, Halloween Kills starts out, obviously there's going to be major spoilers here for people who haven't seen it, but
yeah, if you haven't seen it and you're watching this, A, the fuck is wrong with you? You haven't seen it yet. And B, shut this off, watch the freaking movie, then come back to us.
Yeah, but it's like, I like all of the flashback stuff. I thought that
was amazing.
I literally thought Loomis was, I texted you that I thought he was like Cushing in Star Wars, and Princess Leia and Carrie Fisher.
Real guy in makeup.
I just couldn't believe it. I thought, wow, that's really cool. If you're gonna do it, do it that way. And I thought that worked a lot better. I thought those scenes were pretty cool, and they gave you that feeling, at least a little bit of the vibe of the older stuff.
It looked like it was lifted right out of Halloween.
Yeah, there weren't many people in it. It was like, the thing with Halloween, it didn't have a big cast.
No.
And it gave you this feeling that you were kind of alone. And that was my one problem with the 2018, too many people in it. And so when there's too many people and there's too much going on, it's kind of like, all right, well, it's not really Michael Myers to me. It's more of a guy in a mask running around, even though I did like the movie. But there's too many people in it. And this one was like, Kills, there's like 10 times the amount of people in it.
Well, I think you're going to like Halloween Ends, though. Then I think you'll like Halloween Ends, although we'll talk about that later. But from what I've read about that movie, it's a much more confined film. Smaller in every respect. Smaller casts,
It should be. And the throwback stuff was cool, but I'll get right to it. I thought the acting in Kills was just dinner theater. I thought it was bad. I love Anthony Michael Hall. He was terrible to me. Laurie Strode, why is she billed as the main character when she didn't even leave the bed except for once? That was just stupid. I'll get to the bad stuff first, and then I'll finish it off. I started good, then I'll do bad, then I'll leave good. So it's kind of a compliment.
Mm-hmm. And I will try to hold my tongue, and then when it's my turn, I'll do the same thing.
Everything about it to me, her sitting in the bed and being like, we've been through so much and all this trauma, and I'm like, oh my God. And you're telling me that Michael Myers, everybody knows what Michael Myers look, especially Tommy Doyle, but then they're going to follow like Danny DeVito through the hospital, that Danny DeVito's Michael Myers now. So Michael Myers is an unstoppable killing machine. He wouldn't be running away from you if you were running towards him. He would just be running. He would just be walking towards you and then just take the firefighters, which again, a lot of this sounds like, I don't know if you watched that video from Screen Rant where the guy kind of spoofs, he's like pitching the movie to Universal or whatever.
No, I didn't watch it. I refuse to.
And everything in it, I sent it to our friend Randy, and I was like, dude, he got back to me. Randy texted me and was like, this is everything, that every problem I had with the movie is exactly, it's like 7 minutes long. And it's like the firefighters are there, but they're only going to attack them one at a time. And then Michael Myers is doing like mixed martial arts type crap with brutal. I mean, I love to see the practical effects. The kills were like brutal, probably some of the most brutal I've seen on a movie theater screen. But it was like, everybody get together, we all got to band up and go get them. Okay, everybody split up. All right. And evil dies tonight 300 times. And then it was like, add insult to injury. As an aside, a buddy of mine sent me an interview, as an article where Jamie Lee Curtis was like, the original Halloween, it's actually not a horror film, it's a film about female trauma. I was like, get the and I said, you know what, I'm done reading this. I love Jamie Lee Curtis, but you and I have, like, we never want to bring up any sort of like political shit or whatever, but I'm gonna say it. I'm tired of the PC fucking woke crap that has to be in everything. I'm done with it. It wasn't about female trauma. It was an old school horror film. That's all it was, you know? Now, I understand people can interpret things however they want, but the fact that she's saying it now, then, oh, the new one's about, you know, mob violence, and it's about, you know, long lasting trauma and people's, I'm like, this isn't terms of endearment. This is a horror film. Like,
I can see her point of view if she's talking about Halloween 2018. I can see saying that film in large
1978.
Well, I listen, Jamie Lee Curtis can do no wrong in my eyes, but I will disagree with her vehemently. It
permeates everything now. And I'm just like, that's not, we didn't need that. I didn't need her and Hawkins sitting in the hospital bed, which I'm glad that he's, spoiler alert, that he's alive.
Yeah, no, I'm thrilled.
Nothing. He didn't do anything with him. I thought, I really like Will Patton as an actor. You know, and we talked about it before. I like his character in 2018. I think he always plays this like really just nice guy, I guess, you know, somebody that you can like really identify with. And I thought it was really
even when he's playing an asshole, like well, when he was you know, he was he was John Travolta's #1 henchman in Thomas Jane's The Punisher film.
Yeah.
Or he played the arrogant rich dad in a movie called Inventing the Abbots.
Mm-hmm.
If you've seen it, it's a good movie. But even when he's playing an asshole, he's still likable. You know, there's still something about him where you're like, I'd like to catch a beer with that dude. You know, he seems like a nice guy.
The whole, you know, we're at that little bar and they're doing the, whatever it is, open mic night or the talent contest or whatever the hell it was. People are having fun. And then he gets up there and talk about somebody that looks literally nothing like they did when they were like in their late teens, early 20s. This dude, Anthony Michael Hall, it just got a little, it was a little corny to me. And I read somebody was like, if Laurie Strode is that afraid of Halloween, why doesn't she just like go to the Caribbean every Halloween and then just come back when Halloween's done? That's why this whole movie was just, it was just an absolute mess to me. And it was just, I'm literally, when I ranked it among some of the worst Halloween films I think that Resurrection, H2O, I thought it was just really the gay couple for no reason whatsoever. They just happen to live in his house, and then they find a bloody handprint on the door. So let's shut the door and then go look for him, whoever it is, and then split up. It's like,
well, first of all,
I mean, shit.
I don't have any problem with gay people living in the house. I mean, there are gay people that live in, I mean, dude, spoiler alert, there's gay people that live in Cuyahoga Falls. Just no, throwing that out there. That.
I don't care about if the characters are like that. That didn't bother me. It bothered me that they were the stereotypical, they were the comic relief for the film. In the 2018, it was the little black kid.
Yeah.
When I first saw it, it annoyed me, but then when I watched it the other day, he was actually pretty funny.
He's a funny kid. I mean, you got to give him his props.
But I think it was just like the initial. I just thought, man, don't do this like typical just the stereotyping. But this was like literally, you had one guy that was butch and the other guy that was basically it was unnecessary. And then you had, who's the is it Lenny Clark, the comedian?
Yeah,
he was in the other scene.
Yes,
for no reason. There's people, it was like for no reason.
He's an actor. He was an actor hired to play a part.
That's why I'm just like, there's too many people. And they brought, I like the fact that they brought some of the old people back, that they had like the more than just cameos. They actually had speaking parts. And
yeah.
I thought that was cool. Other than obviously Anthony Michael Hall, because the original time, didn't you tell me the original
Brian Andrews, the actor that played Tommy Doyle in '78 and his little boy, he's something of a I don't know what the nice way to say nutbag is, but he's grown into something of a nutbag. So I don't think this franchise is going to touch him with the 10-foot pole. I don't think any movie is probably gonna.
That's fine,
because he's out there.
I didn't even know that the nurse that survived, I didn't even know she was going to be in it. There was just a lot of stuff that it really irked me big time. And I thought, man, this is a major, and I didn't go into it with giant, like huge expectations. I kind of had low expectations because I thought, if it's going to be like 2018, I had big expectations, and honestly, it pretty much met the expectations. I thought it was fine. This one, again, too many people, all of this, I read all of these articles afterwards. It's like so much social commentary about the police and trauma. And I'm like, it's the same kind of crap that started to permeate all of the Romero stuff, where people are like, the original Night, when he got, the black lead. So social commentary. Then Romero was like, I mean, he was my friend and he was like the best actor that I knew. That's why I did it. And that makes it like infinitely more like cooler. Because that's what you really want.
Yeah.
You're picking somebody because they're awesome. And who is it? Dwayne, the guy that plays Ben in the original. Is it
I want to say Dwayne Jones, but I don't know if that's right.
I was going to say Dwayne Johnson, and I was like, I know that's not right. But yeah, and he was awesome in it, and I love that they had Tony Todd in the remake. Perfect. I actually like perfect casting. But sometimes I think people try to add too much. It's almost pretentious to me. And a lot of Halloween Kills was just pretentious. And it was pretentious, and it was almost like, again, I don't give a shit about, I don't care about gay people one way or the other, not like in a bad way, but
no, I know exactly what you mean.
I'm saying I don't care. They're human beings. Like, I don't care. But it was like a stereotype. It was just corny. And I thought, come on, you know. And I don't know, like I guess for me it's weird because I don't like the movie at all. I literally think it's as bad as some of the other ones, but I don't feel angry about it, I guess, as much, even though it probably sounds like it. I'm just kind of like, Halloween has disappointed me so many times over the years now that I'm just kind of used to it. I will see Halloween Ends in the theater. I will be sitting right next to you. There's no way I would ever not go see it. But that, you know, the 2018 film, I think I think it had a creepier vibe to it, other than the Sartain part, which was cornball, but it had a creepier vibe. The only other part of 2018 that I didn't really like that much is where they turned Laurie Strode into Sarah Connor, and it was almost like a Terminator type thing.
Yeah,
I like it. I think that was it James Jude Courtney? Is that his?
That's who plays the Shape now.
He's awesome. He does a really good job.
He's the second best Shape in my opinion now.
Yeah, and I dig that. I dig the mask. I dig the look of the movie. The kills were I mean, it was brutal. You know, the death scenes were especially when the other patient jumps out. Spoiler. I was like, holy shit, when they showed it, and I thought,
apparently when they test during the test screening of the movie, that scene was a lot longer. Like they lingered on his twitching body a lot longer. Like you saw the brains ooze out of his head and whatnot. So they had to cut that a little bit for, you know.
But do you understand what I'm saying with
I understand. You're not saying
his wife or roommate or whoever that was. I'm assuming that was his wife.
His
wife.
Yeah.
So there was that was unnecessary. The couple that lived in the house, that was unnecessary. Not their personal life, but you know what I mean. Them, like, it was just kind of unnecessary to me. Like they were just putting death scenes in there and putting people in where I thought that I wanted to see more of Laurie Strode. I wanted to see more of Hawkins. I think that they made it realistic that, you know, she was stabbed and then she went out and I'm going to go get him. And then that I liked about it because
obviously the doctor in the balls and split herself wide open again.
Exactly. So that's totally,
and that's why Halloween Ends was originally supposed to take place on the same night. All three movies were supposed to take place Halloween night 2018, but they're bumping it now. Halloween Ends is going to take place in 2022. And I think a big part of that is because you have to get your characters in a position where it's believable that they can defend themselves somehow. Nobody is going to believe Hawkins or Laurie Strode are going to be able to defend themselves that night. But you move forward 4 years, now they're recuperated, back to fighting shape, you hope. So now they can become integral parts of the action.
It worries me though, because what's going to happen with I'm interested and also very concerned with what they're going to do with Michael Myers for 4 years. You know what I mean? And at the end,
we're gonna talk about that.
And at the end, when it's like he was never coming after you, he was only trying to get back to his house. Like that, I didn't like. I think that is as bad of an idea as making her his sister, because it's like, I like the idea of she got away that night, the other ones didn't. This is like, if he's a killing machine, if he's supernatural in some way. I just watched that great interview with John Carpenter when he was talking about, you know, Halloween, and then he talked about Rob Zombie, and I don't know why that piece of shit lied about me.
Yeah.
But he says the original one, he's almost supernatural. You have no idea.
I have the quote right here. This is a quote that John Carpenter in 2016, when Blumhouse announced that they're now producing a new Halloween film, John Carpenter's back on board. This was a direct quote from John Carpenter. Michael Myers is not a character. He is a force of nature. He is not a person. He's part supernatural, part human. He's like the wind, an evil wind. If you start straying away from that and you get into explaining, then you've lost. So hopefully we can guide it back to in the original direction. Well, but the important part of the quote there is, he is a force of nature. He's not a person. He's part supernatural, part human. Because I see a lot of people complaining about the end of this movie and saying that, oh, well, now are we supposed to believe that he's not human anymore? But that's not right. And it's like, well, it is right. It's exactly what John Carpenter set out to do in 1978.
I just always thought he was human, but inside of him, it was like supernatural, like whatever he was, demon, but just
he's the pure embodiment of evil.
But you know what I'm saying?
That's exactly what he is.
Get to the end of Kills and they're like, oh, he was just trying to go home.
Well,
like that is as bad. I thought to myself, this is like the end of Land of the Dead, when they could have killed all the zombies and they were like, they're just trying to find their way. And I thought, huh? So it doesn't matter that Laurie Strode is alive. So then what's her point then? Like, why is she worried? She could literally go back.
You're missing what I think they're trying to say. You have to look at it in this term. Think about how, and I think this is going to play into Halloween Ends. Think about how tragic Laurie Strode's life has been. She's believed for 40 years that this human embodiment of evil was streamlined for one purpose and one purpose only: to kill her. And she lived her life under that belief, at the cost of being a good mother, at the cost of having a relationship, a loving relationship with another man, with a man. And now, after 40 years, she's realized that was all bullshit. He didn't care. He doesn't know me from a hole in the wall. Think about how tragic her life has been, believing a lie for so long and letting that basically take every attempt at happiness away from her. That's the whole point of it, I think.
But it's like that's another part of it that I thought, 40 years he was locked up. You knew exactly where he was. 40 years, and you went all out and did all this stuff to your house. It's not
because
like
she believed.
It would make sense if he was out for 40 years and they couldn't find him.
She believed he's going to get out one way or another, and he's coming for me. And then you find out in Halloween Kills, she finally is faced with the realization, no, actually, he doesn't give a shit about you. It's not you. It's never been you. It never will be you. And now think about 4 years in the future, and Halloween Ends, what her character is going to be like then, knowing I threw my entire life away on the belief of something that turned out to be complete and utter bullshit.
But do you understand what that does to him in the original, though? It makes it like if all he's doing is trying to go home, then why waste time killing all of these people?
I think you're taking that too literally. I think you're looking at it like, well, once he gets home, he's gonna stop. He's home now and everything's fine. I don't think that's what they're trying to say. I think what they're saying is he's going home, but he's not going home because he wants to lay down roots and, all right, I'm home now. I'm gonna take the mask off and make a coffee and put on a sweater and, happy Halloween, everybody. I think what they're saying basically is that all he knows is killing and that house where the killing started for him.
It just kind of it almost makes her character completely pointless. Like they just ruined it, where it's like the end of Phantasm Ravager, when it was like, oh, he just has dementia. Everything was just, it's just pointless. It's such a cop out. It's like,
well, I don't think that's a cop out. I think first of all, in the first one, she's the final girl. And if we're just sticking to this timeline, in the first one, she's the final girl. She got away. All horror movies have them. And then fast forward 40 years, okay, when he gets out and ends up back with her again, she's seeing it as, oh, he's come for me. I knew it. Where he's just, there's meat in front of me. What do I do with that? Well, I kill it.
It would have been so much better if it was, she got away, he ends up getting locked up, which I like in Kills, how they showed how they got him, because I never, with all these other ones, I was like, well, how did they, I don't know. So I liked it that they showed what happened. And so it's like, so he's locked up. It would have made more sense if she just lived a normal life and then he got out again, and then she kind of went crazy, like, oh my God, he's coming for me. But he was locked up for 40 years.
And I agree with you there. I would have preferred, as much as I loved 2018, I would have preferred if Laurie Strode was a...
See, we can still touch on this. It's not completely...
Right. I agree with you there. I would have preferred in 2018, again, as much as I love the movie, I would have preferred if Laurie Strode's character was living in a normal home with, if not with a husband, maybe she's widowed, maybe she's divorced, but she's just a normal older lady who turns on the TV one morning, sees that bus accident, and that's when the switch is flipped. Like, holy shit. And she hightails it down to the gas station, just like she did in 2018. And then you could basically move on from there. Everything could stay the same. She shows up at Karen's house. Oh my God, your doors aren't locked. What's going on? And then of course you'd have to change the ending a little bit, because you no longer have this house that was set up as just this huge trap. But no, I agree with you there. I would have preferred that.
It'd be like PTSD. Like, she's just kind of like, something just makes her, like, her nerves just snap when she sees that the bus accident happens, and then she's like, oh my God, what if he's going to come after me because I'm the one that got away, and then kind of play on that, rather than turning to her, like when her daughter was like, she was teaching me self-defense, and I'm thinking, why? He was locked away for 40 years.
I see your point, and I agree with you. I definitely agree with you on that aspect. I think that would have been the way I would have gone, obviously the way you would have gone. But again, it doesn't take away from how much I love that movie.
No, but 2018 was fine.
You know,
yeah, I just think it would have been better if it was like that. But
I agree.
In Kills, Tommy Doyle should have been. He kind of should have been the same, which it seems like he was a little bit, that he was still affected by it, but he lived a normal life. So in some ways he's the character that Laurie Strode should have been.
Yeah.
Because he knew that Michael was locked away the whole time, and I didn't want to see him. Sometimes I wonder what's going on in those boardrooms when they're talking about, the script and doing the movie. Like, did somebody not say, you can't have a guy that looks like the fucking Penguin be mistaken for Michael Myers? That's really dumb.
Well, I haven't even gotten into my feelings on the movie yet.
You go,
but that's one of them. But I want to, before I get into my thing, I want to go back a little bit to what you said, and you said something to the effect of, it would have played better if Michael viewed her as the one that got away, so that, what drove him a little bit. You can't do that, because again, you're giving the shape motive, and that's what makes him the boogeyman. There is no motive. He can be anywhere, stalking anyone. No one is safe. So for him to have in the back of his mind, well, I'm going to get her because she got away 40 years ago, and I haven't forgotten that shit. You're giving him motive, man, and that just doesn't fly with the Michael Myers that we want.
I don't know. I think that it could be like, I mean, all monsters are like that, where they don't really need a motive, but they'll see a victim and they'll go for the victim, and they won't give up until they get the victim.
Yeah.
And then that's why I'm saying it would make more sense if she was the one, and then kind of like somehow, like, I don't know. And this is like getting way too much into it, but I always thought that it was, even in the 2018 one, which it didn't bother me because I liked the movie. I just thought, she's like this for 4 decades and he's been locked away. That's like,
I agree with you.
Something terrible happened to them, and you're just like, I mean, at some point you think that somebody's going to take them aside and say, all right, like, you need to go to the loony bin because this guy's been locked away for 40 years and you have your fucking house set up like Saw.
I agree.
And it's
I agree with you.
It's like people under the stairs with all the different,
I know, man.
Just like,
I agree with you. I agree. All right.
Let's hear yours, because I'm
going to do my, I have it labeled pros and cons. So I'll do my cons first. And the first glaring problem I have is that second act in the hospital with the mob. And my problems with that are many. First and foremost, you brought it up. I've read about how a blind man would not confuse that troll. And God rest his soul, he passed away earlier this year.
He did?
Yeah. Now, he was in Halloween 2018. If you remember, when the podcaster showed up to see Michael, he was the one with the umbrella. He was the one that Dr. Sartain told the male podcaster, Aaron, you might want to tie your shoe. Mr. Trivoli has a fixation on such things. Mm-hmm. Well, he was Mr. Trivoli. But anyway, that hospital segment was so bad. And I understand what they were trying to do. I really do. They were trying to make a statement on the state of mental illness in this country and how it's still, the year 2021, it's still either swept under the rug or not handled properly. We have so many people, mentally ill people. who don't get the help that they need. But I don't need that in a Halloween movie. Okay. I'm not saying that you can't make a social comment. You can't try to bring your movie, a little higher by making such statements, but they don't have to be so heavy-handed. And if you're gonna do it, let's put somebody in there that you could actually mistake for Michael Myers.
Mm-hmm.
But they didn't. They went with that guy.
The Penguin.
Okay. That was terrible. That whole, you chop that out, however long it was, 10 minutes, 12, 15, I don't know. Get that the hell out of there and just give me 10 minutes of Michael Myers, the Shape, stalking a trick-or-treater, around the neighborhood. That would have been fine. That was terrible. Another thing I didn't like, they used the name Michael Myers way too much. And I'll be watching the original Halloween tomorrow night, starting at midnight, like I do every year on Halloween. If you watch that movie, after he's 6 years old, after he's 21, they never call him Michael.
Mm-hmm.
You never hear the name Michael Myers because they didn't want to humanize him. Even in the script, he was the Shape. The credits at the end of the movie, the Shape.
Mm-hmm.
So they used the name Michael way too damn much. Now, I don't know what you're going to call him. It'd be weird if a whole town of people were calling him the Shape. But you could have called him the Boogeyman. You could have called him anything. Just say him. Did you see him?
Busta called him Mikey.
Busta can suck my ass. You could have just said him. Did you see him? Where is he? But they used the name Michael way too much, which I think humanizes him and takes away from what he is or what he's supposed to be. Another problem I had, I didn't think there was enough stalking in the movie. And by that, I mean, the great thing about the original Halloween, and even in 2018, you got it a couple of times. There just wasn't enough. There's a victim. Over here is the Shape.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Shape's over there. There wasn't enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
And I really thought they showed Michael too much. I thought we saw him too much. And by that, I mean, I don't mind seeing him in the movie all the time if he's behind a bush or in the shadows. You see maybe half of the mask off in the distance when two people. But when you just show the character head to toe way too much, that's an issue for me.
Mm-hmm.
Another problem was the dialogue. The dialogue was just, I mean, and I don't want to blame Danny McBride or David Gordon Green on that because they were the writers on Halloween 2018, and I didn't really have a problem with the dialogue in 2018. On Halloween Kills, there was a new writer. His name's Scott Teens, and I don't want to lay all the blame at his feet, but if he's the new dynamic in the group, and the dialogue goes from fine to eye-poppingly bad in some instances, who are you going to blame? Who's the new voice in the room? So I'm going to blame him. Scott, if I'm wrong, I'm sorry. I'll take it back. But right now, I'm aiming at you, man.
Well, I didn't like Laurie. It just wasn't Laurie Strode. She didn't. The one thing in that Screen Rant video is, so you lit your house on fire, but you didn't think that the firefighters would show up.
She did live out in the boonies. I mean, she did,
burn, and I was like, oh, so corny. Like, it's just,
I didn't mind Let It Burn. I mean, I thought Let It Burn was fine. My problem with the dialogue stemmed more with the evil dies tonight was, I didn't mind it so much when the crowd started chanting it because, mob mentality, it happens at, it's the same dynamic in a football game or in a wrestling match. One guy in the crowd starts chanting, boring, boring. Before you know it, 90% of the fucking crowd is chanting boring at the two guys in the ring just trying to do their jobs. So I get that more than I get like Marion Chambers, the nurse, sitting in the bar. They think they've got Michael, so they're going outside, and then from her bar stool, evil dies tonight. Like, really? Who talks like that?
Dude, it was corny, and there's too many people.
Completely lame.
Think about 78 and how there were not many people, and it gave
you're right.
Weird, creepy feeling. Like, it was,
you knew you were in suburbia, but where the hell is everybody?
Yeah, but even part two, in the hospital, there still weren't many people, and even Halloween 3, you're in what, Santa Mira, and there's still not many people, even though it's not a Michael Myers film. And I think that the other ones did, like 4 and 5 and even 6, kind of kept that going where there weren't many people. This one, there was too much.
I agree.
Even people that aren't into Halloween as much as you or I, especially as much as you, even people that were just kind of like, man, there's too many people in this. Like, it's too busy. It's kind of like if you have a zombie flick, and let's say there's 10 zombies, and then you put like 100 characters in it.
Yeah.
You'd be like, well, this isn't scary.
I totally agree. But now I want to preface something by saying I want to go back to the first thing I had a problem with, which was the hospital scene with the whole mob. I don't have a problem per se with the mob mentality. I mean, you saw it in Halloween 2 when Deputy Logan and Dr. Loomis pull up in front of the Myers house. Half the town is in the front yard of the Myers house throwing rocks at the window, and they got bats. And so we've hinted to that before. So I didn't mind the mob. What I minded was just the dialogue. What they were all screaming was stupid. And B, they were going after someone, that looked more like the Penguin from Batman Returns than Michael Myers. It made no sense. But that's my bad list. That's what and I've seen the movie 3 times, and those are the things that I pulled from that are bad. 3 times, it'll be 4 on Sunday. Here's what I liked: the flashback stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought, they could not have done a better job. It looked like those scenes were pulled right from like somewhere there's an extended cut of the original Halloween,
mm-hmm.
and those scenes are the scenes that are in the extended cut. The atmosphere, the lighting, the mask, the actor, and that wasn't James Jude Courtney who played the Shape in those flashback scenes, by the way. The actor's name is Aaron Decker. So I can't remember the last name, but he did an incredible job. So that flashback was just, if you're a Halloween fan and you even hate this movie, you had to love those flashbacks.
Mm-hmm.
The brutality of the film was, and it wasn't brutality like in Rob Zombie's trash Halloween, which was just over the top hillbilly brutality. This was brutality with a purpose. Mm-hmm. This was a pissed off shape, and he wasn't taking shit, you know? So I loved that. And I think also too, a lot of that has to do with how well James Jude Courtney plays the shape. It felt like, yes, he was more brutal than he was in Halloween 1978, but it felt like it was the same character, just a whole lot madder.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I've been pent up for 40 years and now I'm letting it all out. Another thing I loved was the separation of Michael and Laurie. We've touched on that already. I loved that they let you know even more in this one that he doesn't give a shit about her. She's not the prime objective. She's not even an objective. He just kills. He went after her in 2018 because he got dropped off at her house and she was there. He went after her in 1978 because when he was sitting in the living room, she dropped off the key. That's all. So I loved that. The callbacks, the actors, the characters from 1978 brought back for this one. I loved the actor, I believe his name is Robert Longstreet, that played adult Lonnie Elam. I thought he was great. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that the characters of Tommy Doyle and Lonnie grew up and became friends. So I thought that was a nice way to put those two characters together. I even loved the callback from 2018, the nurse and the doctor who were coming out of their house to go to the Halloween party when Michael was coming up the street. Mm-hmm. And if you remember in 2018, the man, I forgot the directions. I got to go back in. He goes back into the house as Michael is walking down the street. And if you remember, the nurse for a moment is looking at him like, what the hell? And then her husband comes out. I had the directions on me the whole time. And they drive away. They're safe, at least for a couple hours. So I thought that was fantastic. I love the fact that we got back to, and I wrote it down as the shape's playful nature. Not playful, but in 1978, Michael played with his victims, played with them even after they were dead, in the sense that he posed them. Mm-hmm. almost like a kid with a toy. I love the fact that we saw a lot of that in this movie. The way he posed the two Johns in the Myers house as a complete opposite of the picture that was right above them. And he played a song, like this lovely song playing over these two dead lovers. I absolutely loved when he was killing the married couple, Lenny Clark and I don't know the actress's name, who was, if you remember, in 2018, she was the caretaker at the cemetery when the two podcasters went to see Judith Myers' grave. But so that's another callback. But I loved as she's sitting dying and her last moments on this earth, she's watching her husband die. But the way he grabs the one knife and stabs him and then kind of looks and then takes the other. And, I love that. I thought, that's what he does. It's almost like a child playing with a toy. And you said there was no purpose for him being there, and I'm going to disagree. And if you didn't look, I'll understand if you missed it. I missed it too. But I saw a still of the scene when Lenny Clark turns on the light in the bathroom and the shape standing there looking in the bathroom mirror, and he punches out the light bulb so he can't see him. All over the sink were bandages and a peroxide bottle. He was there bandaging up his hand that just had 2 fingers blown off of it. That's why going forward in the movie, when you saw that hand, it was bandaged up. Well, that's what he was there doing. He broke into that house to tend to his wound, was found, and then brutality ensued. And the last thing I'm going to bring up that I really loved about the movie was the soundtrack. I mean, again, John Carpenter, his son, and his godson just, again, knocked it out of the park. I mean, I've got the soundtrack. Of course I do. I've already listened to it multiple times. It's just as good as 2018's. And I mean, you know, thank God John Carpenter is back on board with these movies, both creatively somewhat and also making these soundtracks, because they are just outstanding. Exactly what a Halloween soundtrack should be.
Yeah, music's always good. I don't think this is as bad as Rob Zombie's pieces of shit, and those are the absolute worst of the worst. I mean,
But do you want to do our rankings now, or do you want to talk a little bit about what we want to see in Halloween Ends and then do our rankings?
Man, I don't even know what I want to see in Halloween Ends, because I'm just afraid now of what there's going to be. So much underlying commentary in it, and I tend to think that kind of stuff, it's like a cancer, and it's
well,
like
I think something's going to happen that I think you might actually enjoy. I read somewhere where David Gordon Green said that the movie is taking place in 2022, and it's obviously taking place in a pandemic world. And Haddonfield is no different than anywhere else. It's affected by, you know, the COVID-19 pandemic. And when I read that, or I heard, it was an interview, and I saw him, I got a little concerned, because I thought, again, you know, is this going to be some sort of heavy-handed social commentary? But then I remember another quote from not only him, but also from Jamie Lee Curtis, where they said that where Halloween Kills was a much bigger film, both in scope and the cast, that Halloween Ends is going to be a much smaller film as far as cast, scope. It's going to be much more confined. So I hear that, and then I hear that the pandemic is going to play a part in Halloween Ends, and I could be completely wrong. We won't know until we're sitting in that theater watching the movie. But what I'm inferring from that is we're in a pandemic, so there's going to be less Halloween parties, less gathering of people. People are going to tend to stay with their own. Call it quarantine, call it whatever you want. Obviously in 2022, probably not quarantine, but you know, there are still a lot of people who even now are wary of going to places where there's large groups of people. They tend to stay, you know, confined mostly to friends and family. And that's what I think the pandemic is going to bring for this film. I think it's going to be less people, no more big groups, so somehow it's going to single out those main characters. Laurie Strode, Hawkins, let's not forget Allison, the granddaughter, and maybe 1 or 2 other people, and then the Shape.
Is Tom, I can't even remember. Is Tommy Doyle dead?
Well, he looked dead to me, but
I know that Anthony
frog in my throat.
I know Anthony Paul said he would come back.
He looked dead to me, as did Karen at the end. But obviously in movies like this, you read all, a lot of commentators, podcasts like this one, people who write for the horror sites, they're all saying, yeah, but did you actually see them dead? I mean, so I guess there are people who have the theory that either one of them lived or both of them lived, and they're going to be in Halloween Ends. I think it's a cop out if you bring either of them back.
I think it's
especially Karen. I think if you bring Karen back, you're taking a huge piece away of what I think is going to drive Laurie Strode and Allison in Halloween Ends. If so I think leave them both dead. We don't, as much as I enjoyed them, one more than other, I think it's better if they're dead.
I don't even want the granddaughter. I don't even care. I just cared about my.
Oh, I like Allison. I like that character.
I'm just worried, man. And if it's a pandemic, is it gonna be all preachy about people who are vaccinated versus unvaccinated? And is it gonna get into that? And I'm just like,
I would love to say no. But I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't know until I see the movie.
I just think like I was saying, it's like a cancer. And when people start doing that, and Romero started doing it in like every single movie that he did, every other zombie, Land of the Dead, the rich people lived up here and the poor people lived down here.
Well, you can go all the way back to Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead was his big statement on commercialism and well, I'm sorry, not commercialism, on consumerism.
Mm-hmm.
How everybody is, that was his whole, the zombies in the mall was supposed to portray, American society where we all just walk through,
it's like
shopping.
So subtle, though. You know what I mean? It's just subtle. Like the characters in the movie didn't really talk about it all that much, other than saying, who knows, maybe they just come back here for, it was subtle. It wasn't like in Halloween Kills where it's, we've suffered so much, and then they're at the bar and Tommy Doyle's like, here's for the victims and the survivors of that night. And I'm like, oh God, come on with this. Like, it was like soap opera fare. Like, it just overacted, and the lines were bad, and I don't care. There's a time and a place for that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I see a bunch of idiots out there now that, when people comment on that and they say, for instance, if you're going to put, I don't care if you're going to put different types of people into a film, then they should just be like every other normal person, because that's what they are. But when you put them into a film and you stereotype them like Big John and Little John, it was.
See, I didn't get that from and look, I know you're not the only one who did. I didn't get that they were stereotyped. I actually found it, I don't know if cute is the right word, but I like the fact that the smaller one was Big John and the bigger one was Little John. I thought that was, kind of quirky.
I just thought,
to be honest with you, I enjoyed their characters. I enjoyed and here's the funny thing, I enjoyed them more than I enjoyed some of the old cast that was brought back. Listen, I tell you one thing I'm looking forward to when Halloween Ends. I don't think that's going to be the last Halloween movie we're ever going to get.
No.
I think it's the last in this storyline. But listen, you know damn well that 4, 5, 6 years down the road, somebody else is going to pick up the mantle, and we're going to get a whole new story.
I know
that surround about Michael Myers. Listen, and I'm down with it. If it's done well, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
What I'm so happy about with Halloween Ends is that it's ending the Laurie Strode storyline. I love Jamie Lee Curtis. I love Laurie Strode, but I believe it's time the nail goes in that coffin.
You know, here's my ending. She realizes that after 40 years, she wasted her whole life, and he really wasn't after her. He was just kind of whatever. And then she just fucking blows her brains out, and then the credits roll, and that's it. And then we just get on to another. The reason why I can talk about this as much in a more serious tone is because Friday the 13th, you know, that just became about tits and blood.
It's mindless.
Yeah. And they did try new things.
I enjoy it, but
yeah, I love Friday the 13th.
Mindless fodder.
Yeah, and you know, when it came Nightmare on Elm Street, I don't even give a shit past part 3 at all. And I'm probably one of the only people on the face of the earth that like part 2, but it's incredibly not good.
No, it's not good either, but I guess I don't mind it as much as, well, you know, you think you're the only person on earth that likes that one. I know for a fact, I think I'm the only person on earth that likes
New Nightmare.
Wes Craven's New Nightmare. Well, my wife likes it. So for me, as far as Nightmare on Elm Street goes, it's 1, 3, and New Nightmare are the only ones that I think are really worth a shit. And I'm even not that big on 3 because that's really when Freddy started to become a fucking comedian more than he was a child killer, you know? And that's when I tune out. Like, listen, I don't want snappy one-liners from my killers. No, I don't need it. I don't want it. I want to be scared. I want to be frightened. And that doesn't frighten me.
That's why Halloween is so jacked up as a franchise, because it's like it's so all over. I'll give my ranking.
Well, let's be honest, it's really the only one where it's remember those books when we were kids, the Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah.
Halloween is Choose Your Own Adventure. You have like 4 separate timelines. And I also wrote down what I think is the best timeline. You have 4 separate timelines that you can choose from. You know, which one's your favorite?
I was kind of hoping at the end of Kills, Michael Myers looks at the screen and pulls it up, and the mask up is Busta Rhymes, and then you have the Vincent Price laugh like in Thriller, and then the credits roll.
Why do I subject myself to this?
Do
your rankings, then I'll do mine. Do your rankings, and then I'll do the official rankings.
If you want me to count 3,
yeah, it's a Halloween movie.
Okay, then 3's number 1 for me. You know that.
You're starting from top and going back.
In fact,
I'm gonna when I do mine, I'm starting from the bottom, working my way up.
In fact, I gotta bust this out because Randy, thank you. You got me this poster a couple years ago.
I did.
And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about it. Because he was like, "Do you like this poster, or the other poster like this was the T-shirt that you got me a couple years ago?" And I said, "Well, I have both, but I was like, I got the T-shirt, which is cool, but I love this, the original, and this poster." And he was like, "Oh, okay." And I was like, it's kind of a random question. I don't know why he's asking that.
Yeah.
So this is what he sent from good old Chalice, Tom Atkins. But yeah, 3 is my number 1, but I never really consider it. It's always kind of like it's there. It's number 1 for me. But then if we're getting into Michael Myers, for me, it goes 1, 2, 2018, 6, 5, 4, and then literally the rest.
Well, that's not really a ranking.
No, the rest are shit. I think H2O's garbage. Resurrection's garbage. The Rob Zombie films are garbage, and I didn't want to do it. I was really hoping it wasn't going to fall into that, but it would be like if somebody said rank the Metallica albums, I'd say, okay, Ride, Kill 'Em All, probably Injustice for All, Master, the Black Album, and then all the rest. That's, I can't rank. If something's poop and something else is poop, I can't rank which one's
more. See, I would poop. Your rankings are good for the Metallica album. I would take out the Black Album. I would put that in the poop section and replace it with Saint Anger. So I'd say my rankings, and I'd go Saint Anger, and then I'd say then poop. Yeah. But here are the official Halloween rankings. These are the ones that you take to the bank. You will find no better ranking than this. This right here. This is the gospel. 12 movies coming in at number 12. And I'm not going to say much about it because I don't want to waste any more seconds of my whatever valuable time I have left on this earth talking about this abomination. Number 12, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Mm-hmm. Not only is it the worst Halloween movie, it's quite literally one of the 10 worst films I think ever made. And an interesting side note, my top 10 worst films ever made, riddled with Rob Zombie movies. So if that tells you anything. At number 11, Halloween Resurrection, just trash. Halloween 10, or at number 10, Rob Zombie's Halloween, which you've heard me say many times, half of an okay movie. The half that he's just copying what John Carpenter did, not awful. The shit he came up with is bad as Halloween 2, his Halloween 2. Number 9, Halloween 6. 8, Halloween 5. 7, Halloween 3. Sorry. 6, Halloween H2O. 5, Halloween 4. At 4, Halloween Kills. 3, the next two I fight over internally. I'm going to say this. I think 3 is a better movie than 2, but I cannot forgive what 3 does at the end of their movie. At 3, Halloween 2. I cannot forgive that decision to make them brother and sister. It just ruined it moving forward and ruined that character. So at number 2, Halloween 2018. Number 1, obviously, the original, the OG Halloween. Now, side note, the best timeline in the franchise is the timeline we're on right now. Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills. That is the best timeline.
Yeah, no, I mean, I agree. I leave out Kills.
But I understand you don't like Kills. I get that, but you can't leave it out. It's part of the timeline. But even though you don't like the film on its own, you just gotta look at the timeline. Mm-hmm. and what those movies mean. Any other timeline, I mean, you're dealing with brother and sister and freaking druid cults. And if you want to get rid of the druid cults, then you got to go with Halloween 2, H2O, and then you've got Resurrection. But even that timeline, you're still brother and sister. No explanation for how a guy gets shot in the fucking eyes, yet miraculously somehow can see. Again, I understand these are movies. You're supposed to suspend some belief, but You shot him in the eyes, blew him up, and the only thing that happened was he's got a couple of scars on his hand. I come on, man. We didn't, and even, and fuck, that's the first timeline. The second timeline, Halloween 2, H2O, and Resurrection, you don't even get the scars on his hand.
Mm-hmm.
So you shoot him in the eyes, you blow him up, and there ain't a mark on him. I don't, come on.
What's the one? I always ask you this. What's the one with the dad that's just over the top?
Halloween 6, Curse of Michael Myers.
That's the only thing about 6 that dad is so awful, and the mom is like this geeky little, oh my God. But I guess to me, like, I watched it recently and I'm just kind of like indifferent about it, but I don't hate it. 4 and 5 are like always like one movie to me. I don't know. Like, I can never really, they're almost like Friday the 13th 2 and 3 to me. Like, they're just
Halloween 5 is bad.
Yeah.
Halloween 5 is terrible. As a matter of fact, Halloween 5 and 6 on my rankings, they're almost interchangeable. The only thing that puts 5 a little above 6 is Donald Pleasance, the Loomis character in 5, a little more active. In Halloween 6, I mean, hell, he passed away before the movie even was, finished.
Mm-hmm.
and came out. But you could really tell in Halloween 6 that it was a chore for him,
mm-hmm.
To even make the movie. So that's the only reason Halloween 5 will get a little. But I mean, Halloween 5, the mask is fucking garbage. I mean, if you want to, every mask is garbage. I mean, the mask in 4, the mask in 5, the mask in 6 isn't terrible, but the H2O mask, I mean, the only saving grace for Rob Zombie's Halloween is the fact that the mask looked good.
Mm-hmm.
Up to that point, it was the best looking mask since the first 2. Now we have this timeline, and what Christopher Nelson did with the mask in 2018, and this last one blows anything Rob Zombie did with his mask out of the water. But
there's only one timeline I need.
Yeah. Oh my God. I saw that. I want to say
yours is right up there.
Yep, I see him. There he is. I saw it actually. My friend Todd and I went to he got notified of some secret screening at the Cinemark in Valley View. I think it was October 7th, I want to say. I don't know. But he was notified of it middle of September. And he hit me up and he's like, do you think this might be Halloween Kills? I said, I don't know, but I don't want to take the chance it's not. So yeah, grab the tickets. And it was on a Thursday night. And that's why I didn't even ask you, because I know you have BMX on Thursday nights.
Mm-hmm.
Although we went to Halloween Kills on Thursday. At the time, I thought I was doing you a favor, because I was still going to go see it opening night anyway. So even if it was, but it ended up actually being Halloween 3 was the special screening. So yeah, it was only the second time I saw it on the big screen. The first time I was 8 years old, and I think it was the first time I said fuck in front of my dad. Middle of the movie, I lean over and I ask my dad, where the fuck is Michael Myers? And this is back when you could smoke in the theaters. So my dad's puffing on his Lucky Strike. He's like, I don't fucking know. What the hell are we watching?
You're watching a much more evil villain.
Well, at the time, I hated it. Like most Halloween fans, you the first time you see it, you hate it, and then you keep hating it for years until you kind of rediscover it, and you kind of figure out this is actually a pretty good movie. Just wish they wouldn't have called it Halloween 3. If that movie would have come out as just as Season of the Witch, I think it would. I mean, I don't know if it would have done a ton of money at the box office, but I think it would have been given a bigger chance.
There's only one thing I never understood: the night no one comes home, but you had to be home to watch it.
Yeah,
on TV. But regardless, that's always my go-to. If I go watch any Halloweens, it's 3 and it's 1, 2 here and there. I likely will never go back to the 2018 one. I'll never go back to Kills. I'll never go back to the Rob Zombie ones. I was wanting to go back, never to Resurrection, but I was wanting to go back, and I saw H2O in the theater. Actually, with my whole family. It was like a whole family affair, and I'd like to go back. I haven't checked that one out in a while, and I might.
It's not a horrible movie. It's not, if you can get past The Mask.
Isn't Josh Hartnett in it or something?
Yeah, Josh Hartnett's in it. I mean, if you can get past The Mask, it's not a bad movie. And I mean, you have to give him an E for effort, because the plan was, I mean, it was Jamie Lee Curtis's idea. I mean, she called John Carpenter and Deborah Hill. Deborah Hill was still alive. She called them, and said in 1997, and said, we're coming up on the 20th anniversary. We're all still in show business, and we're actually more famous than we were then. We should do something. And Deborah Hill and John Carpenter were initially on board, but I think Carpenter wanted way too much money to, I think 90% of the budget was going to be eaten up by his paycheck. So he ended up dropping out. And then I guess when he was gone, Deborah Hill just, she stepped back as well. But you got to give him an E for effort. They tried real hard to kind of, all this crap that came before, not so much 4, which I think is a good movie, okay movie, but really 5 and 6, they tried to just forget that garbage. This is really Halloween. It's 1, 2, and this. And if they would have left it off at that and not given us the fucking stink bug that is Resurrection, that would have been probably the best timeline of the franchise. But you had to screw us all in the ass with Resurrection.
Yeah, it was unforgivable. I can tell you that. But I don't know, man. I basically, at the end of the day, for me, Halloween Kills, I initially gave it a 6 out of 10.
Mm-hmm.
And I kept thinking about it, and it was 5.5, and then it was 5. And I think, honestly, it's all the way down to like a 3.9, 4.0 for me out of 10. I can't do it. With the 2018, I give it like a 7.5.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, the original is a 10.
Right.
It's the same with 3 for me. It's a 10 out of 10. 2 is, I think, 7, 8, something like that, but I don't know, man. Kills is, I don't like, how I'm a very straightforward person. I don't like, I don't know if it's because I'm too conservative about certain things, not politically, but I don't like adding shit that doesn't belong. And I don't like, that's why some of Steven Seagal's, like, On Deadly Ground is one of the worst movies I've ever seen, because all those fucking scenes where he's preaching about the environment in there.
Right.
It's like, dude,
I don't think Steven Seagal has made a watchable film since his first 3, though. I mean, listen, out for, Above the Law, Marked for Death, Hard to Kill, and Out for Justice.
4.
Those 4 films are unfuckable. Those films are, everything after that is well, what's the one where he was only in it for like 10 minutes?
Oh, no. Under Siege.
No, I hate him. I cannot stand Under Siege.
Oh, dude.
I like Executive Decision, but he's only in it for like 12 minutes.
Executive Decision is
That's the one with Kurt Russell.
Dude, how do you not like Under Siege? Tommy Lee Jones, he fucking like, I laugh hysterically. I must be like demented when he kills Tommy Lee Jones, because he fucking gouges his eyes out, stabs him in the head, the top of the head with the knife, and throws him headfirst into a. I'm like, I think he was dead the first time.
Yeah, I think you had him beat. I don't know. Oh God, that freaking movie.
When On Deadly Ground is so preachy, and it's like, that's what this was to me. And I don't like it, man. I don't like it. I don't want to. I don't.
Listen, I can't agree with you more. I mean, that's why I'm really hoping Halloween Ends is just completely like the original. It's just straightforward, unrelenting. No filler, no subplots going on.
That's what, like,
that was that's my only problem with 2018 and Halloween Kills. Really, are those subplots that took away from what really were, in my opinion, just awesome freaking movies. But then you gotta blind us with these subplots that just take away from what you're doing.
Look,
more so Halloween Kills.
I love ice cream, and I love A1 sauce. I don't like them together. It's fucking gross. I don't want it. Don't give it to me. I don't want anything to do with it. And that's exactly what this is. Like, when it comes to the Romero flicks, the later ones, if it's subtle, and when it's more about the horror, and then maybe there's some subtle shit going on, I'm down with that.
Yeah,
I don't have a problem with that whatsoever.
Just don't hit us in the head with it.
Yeah, I don't need to be literally, it doesn't need to be used as a cudgel for an hour and 40 minutes that this is about female trauma or mob violence, or like, I'm like, dude, I'm not watching this for a Dr. Phil episode. Okay. I'm watching this for the shape. That's what I want to see. I want to see that. And that's honestly, get like my buddy Rob, who lives in Canada, who's a huge Halloween fan.
Yeah, but doesn't he think Rob Zombie's Halloween is better than
Don't get me started
John Carpenter's Halloween?
Dude,
I mean,
he's like, well, sometimes. And I'm like, oh my God.
There's no time.
We go back and forth.
There's no time.
He did admit, last time I talked to him, he did admit, he was like, okay, what I'm trying to say, nothing's better than the original, and I'm like, all right, because I was seriously questioning the friendship at that point.
Yeah. There's just certain things you can't overcome.
No. And I thought he'd like this, but he saw it and said, he actually had to see a bootleg of it.
Oh, really?
Because he's in Canada and you need a vaccine passport to go anywhere where he is, and he doesn't have a vaccine yet. So he can't go to the theater. And I don't think they get Peacock up there or something. So his friend downloaded it, and he went over, he watched it, and I said, what did you think? And he said, where to start. And he texted me and just said, let me put it this way. I'd rather he would have just cut Laurie Strode's head off and walked around with it under his arm for an hour and a half. And I think it would have been a better movie.
that would have been interesting.
He was like, I hope Halloween Ends. I think Randy said this to me. And Halloween Ends, I hope he hollows their fucking head out and uses it as like a candy bowl.
You know what? The the feeling of hoping that she dies at the end of Halloween Ends is not uncommon. I'm reading that from a lot of posts from Halloween fans who aren't saying it in a negative way, not like, oh, we hate her, we want her to die, just saying that it's time. You know, I mean, kill them both, and then this storyline is dead and buried. And if you want to bring him back, you can start new story, new people, new victims, but you know, same shape.
I think
just when I say same shape, not this shape, but hey, we're bringing Michael Myers back, new people, new victims, but his story will be the same. He killed his sister when he was 6, and
I don't mind that. They did it with Dracula. Halloween Ends, maybe kind of at the end of the movie, they just show him walking away, like at the Incredible Hulk series with Bill Bixby, and just has a hobo pack on the end of a stick.
No, we did it already with Halloween 2, Rob Zombie, you piece of shit. We don't need Hobo Myers again.
I don't know, man. I mean, it was like I said, regardless of how I feel about kills, I will be there. Let me make you feel a little better. I didn't hate it as much as I hate Phantasm Ravager.
Well, that's good, because you despise.
When we do our Phantasm retrospective, and we'll probably get Lonnie in here or something to do this. And
well, when we do that, I need a refresher course, not on Phantasm, the original. You know, I just saw that with you, you know, what, a year and a half ago or something. So I mean, but the other ones, I haven't. Well, first of all, I haven't seen Ravager yet, and I wasn't going to, because you said don't, you know, and you know, like you come to me, you come to me if you have a Halloween question, or you want, you know, an honest. I come to you if I have a Phantasm. You know, how do you feel about the Phantasm news? So when you told me how bad it was, and then you just told me the ending, which was fine, I wanted you to. Like, yeah, well, I'm not going to see that shit. But when we do the Phantasm episode, I feel I need to watch it. You know, I don't feel going into that episode would be right if I don't see it.
Yeah, I mean,
but I need to see all the other ones too, except the first one again, because it's been years since I've seen a Phantasm that's not the original.
I think they just recently put out 1 and 2 on Blu-ray.
Okay.
If I remember correctly, I can't remember, but for sure. But we can watch 2. I started watching 4 the other night because I hadn't seen it in a while. I think 3's crap. I don't really like it.
Well, that's the problem. I haven't total transparency. I've only seen Phantasm 1, Phantasm 2, and half of 3. I stopped watching like halfway through it because I thought that this might be one of the worst fucking things I've ever seen. Now, this was well before Rob Zombie started making movies. I said, this might be the worst thing I've ever fucking seen. So I stopped watching it and then never watched anything else, because I thought, well, I doubt they're going to get better. So,
but yeah, no, this was good. I'm glad we were. I think it was relatively painless. I was kind of expecting you to throw your phone and disown me and say this is going to be, but I'm glad that we were able to find common ground.
No, listen, I think at the end of the day, for me, it's I'll how do I put this? For me, a lot of what I love and what's gonna make me like a film when it is if you give me a good mask. You give me a good shape mask. You give me a good actor who understands how to play the character. And you make the movie, you make me believe that we're in a small town in the Midwest, and it's Halloween night. If you give me those few things and you do those few things really, really well, I'll look past a lot of shit. Okay. And I got that and more from Halloween Kills. So when they gave me that, I was already going to be semi-happy. But they gave me a lot more. They gave me they gave me some shit too. And that shit kept the movie from being a 9 out of 10 or an 8.5 out of 10 for me. And it's a 7 out of 10 for me. And the reason why it's a 7 is because he just put a lot of shit in there that I didn't like. But it's still 7 out of 10 for me because you gave me that handful of things I said that I really want in a Halloween film. And you also threw some other stuff in there too that I thought was really cool. So you get a 7 out of 10 for me. And I'm still, I'm as excited right now for Halloween Ends as I was before Halloween Kills, if that makes any sense. So in other words, Halloween Kills did not did not dampen my excitement for the next movie. I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. Yes, I am a little, okay, what are you going to do in this one now? You gave me some plot devices and some secondary plots in 2018 and Halloween Kills that kind of kept the movie from being, 9.5 out of 10. What are you going to do in this one that's gonna make it, so we'll see.
We'll see, and we'll be back here for that. Obviously more coming in the meantime.
Yeah.
We're going to wait for another year, but I don't know. I'll give Halloween Kills another shot on Peacock here if it's still on there, and it'll probably
I think it's on there forever. I don't think it's one of those situations where it's only on for a couple of weeks and they take it off. I think it's on for at least a month, but I think it's on there for good.
Okay.
Because I'll be watching it Sunday morning.
But I'll leave it with this. There you go. Yeah. And I don't know, man. I'm pumped for the music one that you and I are going to do, which is going to be all good, no negativity.
No negativity.
Monster Magnet.
The mighty Monster Magnet.
Which I think coincidentally, yesterday, the day before, was Dave Windorf's birthday.
I saw that. Yeah, I saw that. I saw somebody posted a kick-ass black and white photo. Had to be who knows how many years ago, but he's in a leather jacket, smoking heater, like a badass.
We'll get back with that very soon here. I'm hoping to do that at least within the next week or week and a half. Try to kind of bust these out a little more frequently. So
let's do it. I like I said, I'd love to get on a regular schedule where we're doing at least 2 a month, bi-weekly.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. It was fun.
Always.
I'll be there.
This will be out and uploaded before Halloween.
I'm going to try to do it tomorrow. Yeah.
Perfect.
If not, it'll be on Sunday because I ain't got nothing going on. So it'll be me just getting this together. So I don't know. It'll be up.
Wait to watch it.
Absolutely. We'll put it up and we'll get it out there. So, all right, man. Until next time.
Happy Halloween, everybody.
Yeah.
Stay spooky.
All right. Stay happy. We'll see you.
Bye.